I know, we say it all the time. It's just spring training. But I'm kind of starting to see some signs of concerns in two players specifically. And then I want to tell you about two players that I think could eventually wind up with spots on the major league team. Let's talk about it. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much. First and foremost, y'all, we don't get here without each and every last one of you guys, eclipsing almost now 4,000 subscribers. Actually, we did eclipse over 4,000 subscribers to the point of this taping. Listen, man, this don't happen without y'all. Thank you so much to everybody that's tuning in, everybody that's viewing the videos, everybody that's commenting, everybody that's liking, everybody that's sharing the content. Thank you, and thank you some more. It means so much to me from the bottom of my heart, man. I come and try to give you guys the best content possible. With like I said, with the funniest guests, and like I said, just trying to grow this channel organically, man, and really just grow together. And yeah, at the end of this channel, man, we're giving away a free Chicago Cubs jersey. I got the winner right here. Like I said, so I appreciate you guys so much. But like I said, let's get to this content before we do that. Now, with this being said, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if this is your first time watching Chicago Cubs Central. Like I said, we are a group and community of Chicago Cub fans that just love to talk about our Chicago Cubs. Excited for this upcoming season, which is just around the corner. Now, with that being said, the season is just around the corner, y'all, and the Chicago Cubs have some players that have looked amazing during spring training, and they've had some players that have looked downright horrible during spring training. Now, again, I understand it's just spring training, right? So we need to relax. We need to calm down. We don't need to be overreacting. Well, guys, I'm sorry to tell you, but today Mike Jones is going to overreact just a smidge. Earlier on Monday, the Chicago Cubs in another spring training game played against the Cincinnati Reds. And the first player that I will tell you that I'm a little bit concerned about with his two outings is none other than Jameson Taillon. Now, JMO is somebody that I follow closely. I followed him. I follow his social media. I tend to watch the workouts and things that he does over the summer because he posts a lot of that stuff on his social media. Him and Justin Steele are probably the two Cubs pitchers that I would say are the most vigilant on social media, that give you, like, people like me that are like Cubs podcasters that don't necessarily maybe have inside scoop all the time, that can see exactly what they're working on. JMO works hard all summer. I don't want to break. I'm sorry, all winter. I don't want to make it seem like he doesn't work hard. However, my concerns reign in when I look at his stats. So in this game, JMO pitched 2 in the third, gave up 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts in this game against Cincinnati. And for me, again, when JMO's stuff is hittable, that is a very, very, very bad sign. All in all, he has pitched 3 2/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, 7 runs, 7 earned runs, and given up, this is the big one, 4 home runs so far. So normally JMO is a walk machine. He's somebody that's going to give up a lot of walks and things like that. But in this game, in the 2 times he's appeared so far in spring training, JMO has given up 7 earned runs, 4 of those being home runs. That's not something that you want to see from spring training. Now, again, I say this with a grain of salt. It's early. I don't want to make it seem like I'm overreacting. I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying let's trade him now. But if this is a precursor to what Jameson Taillon is going to bring at the beginning of the season, the Chicago Cubs are going to be in a little bit of trouble. Now, the thing, preseason is meant to kind of fine-tune yourself, fine-tune your pitches, kind of find your way. Guys that have looked great so far, pitching wise, we're looking at Edward Cabrera, look dominant from the start. Matthew Boyd already ramped up, ready to go for the World Baseball Classic. You look at those two. Those two have looked straight up dominant. They looked amazing. Cade Horton has looked pretty good himself. We have yet to see Justin Steele. Don't know if we'll see him. We might have to watch a AAA game or two to watch Justin Steele pitch. But again, you look at this and you say to yourself, somebody like Jameson Taillon that really found his way during the second half stretch and really throughout the postseason was dominant for the Chicago Cubs and last year's run, you would have hoped that some of that would have carried over, but it seems as though he's starting to start back at square ground one when it comes to these to this 2026 season. So hopefully Jameson Taillon can get it figured out and get his stuff together, because he's somebody that Chicago Cubs are going to depend on. Now, depending on how long it takes Justin Steele to get back, we may not lean on him as heavily as originally we thought we would have to. But again, he is still somebody that you want to be able to hand the ball over to, and that you want to be able to trust that they're going to do what? Get out. Again, you listen to Craig Counsell talk, and he's talked about pretty much the importance of getting out all winter long into spring training. This is going to be big, especially when it comes to pitching. People have wanted Craig Counsell to name different people, to speak about the importance of different people, and he's come out and said the same thing every single time. Look, man, we're just trying to get outs. We are trying to get enough outs to win a ball game. And that's the philosophy the Chicago Cubs are going in with their pitching staff this year. And whatever it takes to get us to do that, that's what it looks like there's going to be done. So I'm worried about Jameson Taillon. Another pitcher that I'm worried about that just has not looked good, really, especially in his last outing, Shota Imanaga, guys. Shota Imanaga in 2 2/3 inning on Sunday against the White Sox, he allowed 4 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. So he did not give up the home run ball. However, he did still allow for those 3 earned runs, and he did still get hit hard. And those things matter to me. Like I said, Shota Imanaga is somebody that we have to be on the right page when it comes to pitching wise. Now, so far in this spring training, Shota Imanaga has pitched 4 2/3 innings. He's allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs, and 3 home runs. All in all. And like I said, for me, you look at that and you just say to yourself, this cannot be a pre-regular season, because if it is, he's going to find himself in a world of trouble, potentially almost losing his spot, with this team, because we need him to be dominant. So you look at Jameson Taillon. Here's what's alarming about Jameson Taillon. In 2025, his 4-seam fastball numbers were 92.3 miles per hour, 18.3 inches. And like I said, and so the advanced metrics for that looks like, okay, he might be doing something there. And then you go to 2026 and you look at the advanced metrics, 91.4 miles per hour. So he's a ticker step or 2 down. He's allowed 13 runs on 13 hits over 5 2/3 innings this spring with only 3 strikeouts. That's alarming. That's alarming. That's alarming for a guy that you are going to have to depend on this season. So you want to make sure that Jameson Taillon is the guy that you look for, that you can depend on, the guy that you can count on, to make things happen. So again, it's important that that Jameson Taillon get his stuff together. It's even more important that Shota Imanaga get his stuff together. Now, why is it important that Shota Imanaga gets his stuff together? Because we've talked about it, guys. This man is in a contract year, 1-year deal with the Chicago Cubs, and if he does not perform, Chicago Cubs. He's going to give up the home run ball. I'm not worried about Shota giving up the home run ball. It's stacking runs by loading up the bases or having guys on the base path and then giving up the long ball. That's how you go down 3-zip, 3-1, 4-1, or something like that. And then you wind up giving up a big inning because you're walking guys and then you turn around and, you give up that big home run and it just deflates the whole team. Shota Imanaga has been brought to the Chicago Cubs to get out. Jameson Taillon has been brought to the Chicago Cubs to get out. They have to produce. We have an amazing front three: Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera. Love those guys. Like I said, love what they're bringing. Cade Horton is nasty. Like I said, when we get Justin Steele back, that's going to be even better. But until we get Justin back, the Chicago Cubs are going to depend on Shota Imanaga and Jameson Taillon to do their part, and they're going to have to keep the ball in the park. You cannot get hit hard and allow these hitters to just spray the ball around on you. You cannot allow that to happen. Why? Because if you allow that to happen, it's going to be damn hard to win a lot of games. Now, who's impressed me so far? Two players that have impressed me so far on the offensive side. I want to say that these guys are have to me looked really, really good. One guy that I want to shout out, Dylan Carlson. Dylan Carlson has looked really, really good for the Chicago Cubs so far this season, putting up decent numbers, getting hits, taking his walks and allowing himself to get around the base path. He's looked very, very good for the Chicago Cubs so far in this spring training. He could very well find himself on that Chicago Cubs bench when it comes down to it for the start of the season. He could potentially hold down a spot and be somebody that gets time in left field if Ian Happ needs a day or if one of those guys go down with injury. Who else have I looked at? I've looked at and noticed some really, really good play from Kevin Alcántara. Again, like I said, it's one of those things where Kevin Alcántara has worked on his swing. He's worked on his stance. He's worked on things, and you see it, and he's hitting the ball hard. Craig Counsell had this to say about Kevin Alcántara when asked about them. He said, yeah, his new swing, his new approach, the way that he's swinging the ball, swinging the bat now, it's going to play. This is going to be something that's going to be able to produce, and we're going to keep an eye on him, and he will get an opportunity. That's coming from the manager, folks. He's going to get an opportunity on this team. So he's going to get an opportunity for the Chicago Cubs. So whether that be a call-up or whether that be something that I mean, he could start the season on the bench for the Chicago Cubs. I don't know. We'll see. These guys are all fighting for roster spots right now. So, again, it's really up to Craig Counsell on what he wants to do. So, with that being said, listen, y'all, we have a jersey to give away. That's right. You guys have waited. I waited and waited and waited and waited. Once again, I want to shout all of you out. Thank you guys so much for being the greatest community of Chicago Cub fans that a guy could have asked for. You guys show up and show out all the time for these episodes. You guys are constantly constantly commenting, constantly being a part of the show. And like I said, I appreciate you guys so much. Now, with that being said, guys, listen, I need to announce the winner of today's jersey giveaway. That's right, Mr. Guru Jr. is the winner of the Chicago Cubs jersey. Guru Jr., you are the winner of the Chicago Cubs jersey. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a part of the Chicago Cubs Central community. Thank you for commenting. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Make sure that you hit me up, like I said, in a private message, like I said, and send that to me. Comment. I will actually tag you on the video when I announce this, so that way everybody will know. Like I said, but thank you so much, Guru Jr., for commenting, for subscribing, for being a part of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. And listen, y'all, we're not that far away from 5,000. So we might as well go ahead and probably give away maybe another jersey at 5,000 to celebrate, right? It's only right? So listen, I appreciate you guys. What you need to do, you need to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. You also need to make sure that you guys join the Chicago Cubs Central Facebook group. Join that group, guys. You don't want to miss it. Also, find Chicago Cubs Central on Instagram if you have Instagram too. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. Shout out to everybody on Spotify and on Apple, everybody that downloads the podcast and listens to it. Thank you all so much, man. I appreciate each and every last one of you guys that have tuned in to Chicago Cubs Central. Comment your thoughts below. What is your worry meter when it comes to Shota Imanaga and it comes to Jameson Taillon? Because I am starting to get a little bit worried, because you would think that these guys would come deep closer into form, but it looks like they just aren't sharp or ready yet. Meanwhile, the other three have looked pretty decent. Is there anybody else on the Chicago Cubs right now that you're worried about? Comment that person below and let us know below who you think about that. So listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Guru Jr., make sure you hit me up. Thank you. Until next time, go Cubs go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.